Hi, I'm Kevin Midas, and like many weirdos, future waifu guys, and prepubescent otaku, I started reading manga in elementary school. I recall walking through the aisles of a grocery store with my parents, wishing I could get back home before the sun went down, because I'm so old my Game Boy didn't have a light yet when bam, or rather, dawn, I saw my first cover of Shonen Jump. Immediately I was captivated. Of course, I loved all the classic Nicktoons and Cartoon Network shows of the 90s, but there was something different about anime. Something special. The powers were abstract, overpowered, and yet oddly very rules based. The themes were more mature and dark, and the art style? The art style was just so freaking cool. Very few series do all three of those things, especially just being so freaking cool as well as Tite Kubo's Bleach. Today, a decade or two removed from the day Ichigo's strawberry blonde locks and Orihime's very big heart first won me over, I've decided to discover something. Do the first 100 chapters of Bleach still hold up? Not in a literary sense. I mean, Kubo's no James Joyce, but no one should be. 'Cause, Finnegan's Wake. No. What I mean is that sense of wow and awe, that sense of falling in love with the world, caring so deeply about its characters that you stay up all night reading the Applied Logic blog on WordPress because you want to laugh at just how ridiculous Kubo can be. Will Bleach stand up to such a lofty metric, or have mine eyes been withered by the gray cynicism of age, just like my scalp? Well, Baldy's only one way to find out. Let's talk Bleach, the first 100 chapters. Bon Kai. Bleach is a shonen manga series created by Tite Kubo. Running from August 2001 to August 2016, it lasted from when I was 10, painting idol figurines, to when I was 26, painting VTuber coloring books on a tablet. At over 130 million volumes sold, with an accompanying awesome anime that is currently running with a renewed vigor for the final season, Bleach is one of the highest selling, most successful manga of all time. But, though he may be the coolest dude in any given school with an overpowered student council, Tite Kubo wasn't always so assured of this outcome. It's no mystery how arduous being a mangaka is. There's long hours, short deadlines, and the fear of cancellation always hanging over your head like a thought bubble. In 2000, just 26 chapters into his first series, Zombie Powder, Kubo found himself being way ahead of his time, mirroring many aging Western comedians and getting canceled by Shueisha. A rare list of authors can share in that claim, if by rare you mean how often you'll see a sword in any given chapter of Bleach. I suppose because of the shared stress of working in the manga industry, many mangaka tend to stick together. It's the power of friendship. Nakama. Using this power, Sensei Akira Toriyama, Mr. Goku himself, reached out to Kubo and pulled the chain from his heart, removing him from the bonds of despair as a chorus of misunderstood teens across the world yelled a synchronous Linkin Park song. Early Bleach had a very distinctive style from the first chapter. Kubo's early art was punk, edgy, and spoke to the dark blade, ultimate weapon of demon slaying, wielder inside us all. The feel was simplistic and minimal. There were the early hints of Kubo's excellent usage of white space, and while the whole thing had a wabi-sabi type of vibe, the characters were definitely expressive. I mean, seriously, look at Rukia's eyes. Rukia, look into their eyes. Yes, Daddy. You'll find out about that later. Those were the aesthetic foundations. Then Kubo piled his own uniqueness all over that ice cream like sprinkles. Early Bleach is just freaking cool, man. The fits, the covers that reference album artwork, even the totally not spooky tenseness that definitely didn't make me turn on the lights as a kid. Or an adult. Definitely did not. Bleach was, is, and in my opinion, which I ran by Urahara, will always be a sensation. But does that hypothesis hold up? Today, I'm discussing the first 3 volumes as we make our way through the first 100 chapters. Will this be a filler arc, or will it all go according to Keikaku? Let's find out. Volume 1. We begin with Volume 1, The Death in the Strawberry, a sick name shared with the first chapter. Speaking of, let's talk about exactly how fun these chapter titles are. Shout out to Microcrack describing Pusha T's first mixtapes, and Why Do You Eat It for quoting a porn parody of Fincher's film 7. Brad Pitt is known to eat in every one of his films, and there was talk of boxes, so appropriate thing to make a porn parody of. First, we're introduced to our protagonist Kurosaki Ichigo, seen here in the first color splash where he already indeed has that shit on, including a vintage G-Shock N t-shirt that says 15. He literally has his name on his chest. That's Big Ichigo, ho. Ichigo, nicknamed Strawberry due to his trademark bright orange hair, has been bullied and considered a delinquent for years. Fun fact. In Japan, many delinquents display their rebellious nature by dyeing their typically dark hair a brighter color. I imagine that's where the series title stems from, along with whatever other beautiful metaphors exist in the mind of Tite Kubo. I know he thinks Spanish people are spicy and Germans are cold. Go figure. He's right. Totally correct. Ichigo can see ghosts. This is revealed in a panel that both shockingly reminded me of just how gory early Bleach can be, and also made me wonder if he was inspired by Haley Joel Osment. There's some resemblance there. Ichigo fits into the apathetic, I don't really want to be bothered, protagonist mode, similar to someone like Yo from Shaman King, or me at 12 feeling misunderstood as I headbang to Slipknot. Ichigo does have dimensions though, at least 3 if you count Huecomundo and Soul Society. He's helpful and quick to fight if someone is in danger, but very pragmatic, while also still managing to seem totally over it all. Ichigo Kurosaki, folks. He's not like other shonen heroes. Except, of course, when he's being just like them in the opening scene, as he beats up some skater boys for knocking over a young ghost's flowers. Besides seeing ghosts, Ichigo lives a relatively normal teen life. He's a high school student whose mom died when he was 9 and his home doubles as a medical clinic. He's got 2 sisters, Sweetie Yuzu and sarcastic quipper Karen, and one hilarious dad, Isshin Kurosaki. I love Isshin Kurosaki. In one chapter, he manages to join the Chef Redleg Zeff School of Parental Abuse and joins Colonel Hughes in the rare pantheon of shonen wife guys. In fact, it's really fun seeing early Isshin, before all the bullshit, back when it was just randomly kicking his kid in the head. From brain trauma to brain damage. What a journey Bleach will take us on. Thank you, Kubo. That journey starts with Rukia, who enters the scene with a pose aura farming like she runs Monsanto, then loses that aura immediately in the very next panel. Get used to Rukia doing that. Though, on the surface, Rukia seems like an ice queen, she's very much a little cutie. She likes rabbits, draws adorably horrible but still better than AI pictures, and oh, did I mention, she's a masochist submissive queen. No, I mean seriously, look at this evidence. Still don't believe me? Let's see what the author himself has to say. Okay, Kubo, calm it down. This isn't Food Wars, or Wonder Woman. Still having her mystery girl credibility, Rukia explains that her job is chasing evil spirits called Hollows as a ghost cop, before ultimately having to sacrifice those powers so that Ichigo can save his family. With a quick chest stab with her sword, called a Zanpakuto, she unleashes the enormous spirit energy dormant in this strange human and stares in subqeen awe at how massive his sword is. Ichigo officially becomes a Shinigami or Soul Reaper, and we kick off the early slice of life vibes. First up, the saddening tale of Orihime and her simp brother. Introduced along with the always being hit with the horny bat Tatsuki, Orihime's a total cloud cuckoo-lander, or space girl, as her classmates say. She also looks spectacular in form-fitting shirts, her brother is dead, oh, and she's crushing on Ichigo. But then, who isn't? Even the ugly hoes want Ichigo. Meanwhile, not disproving that all the hoes want him, Ichigo and Rukia are training at the park. They have an argument about whether duty is reason enough to sacrifice yourself, displaying Kubo's early dips into philosophical undertones. In this case, I think I'm siding with Ichigo. You can't promise what you'll be able to sacrifice, but you can be proud of the moments that you did. Leave a comment and let me know your deep philosophical thoughts about this manga aimed at teenage boys. As Rukia reads erotic horror, not disproving the subqueen allegations in any way, Orihime spots them. We learn that she gets so lost in her daydreams, Ichigo is not particularly surprised to hear that she got hit by a car. However, when Rukia spots a bruise mark on Orohime's leg that came from a hollow, she explains hollows in fact used to be human souls that weren't saved by Soul Reapers. It's the first indicator, and we'll get a lot of them, that Soul Society is absolute dog shit at doing their jobs. Orohime's brother, now a hollow actually named Acid Wire, attacks her and Tatsuki because, and this is not a joke, she stopped talking about only him when praying at his tomb every single night. Thankfully, Ichigo arrives to deal with this siscon simp, and with one more rules revelation from Rukia that she definitely could just do all at once using her Nokia phone, they're saved. With a quick flash of the Pez dispenser doubling as a Men in Black style memory wiper, the two ladies are left to think the Yakuza attacked them. Silly girls. Ikkaku isn't here yet. After that trauma, we're greeted with a pink parakeet and meet the rest of the high school cast. Mizuhiro is a flirt, and Keigo is embarrassing but earnest. They fall into the same bucket as Tatsuki. You'd think they might be important later, but no. Spoiler alert. Chad, meanwhile, instantly screams tertiary protagonist who's gonna get sidelined. How Konoha 11 of him. When we first meet him, he's taking an I-beam to the shoulders to save some extras and a cursed bird. Yes, he knew the bird was cursed. Yes, someone should get OSHA involved. The bird is mysterious, but Rukia senses no Hollow's energy, so she decides to exercise it that night. Then, that same night, there's a highway pileup, and among the injured, Chad has a massive wound emanating Hollow energy. Top tier soul detecting, Rukia. Ichigo and Rukia ponder on where the Hollow could have come from as Chad defies Dr. Daddy's orders and sneaks out the window, likely to go save a parakeet by diving in front of a semi-truck. We'll see. Volume 2. In Volume 2, Goodbye Parakeet, Goodnight My Sister, Kubo continues flexing his title skills and maybe being kinda racist. But Chad doesn't dive in front of a semi-truck, just a hollow that's the size of one. For now, he's still missing. The ghost cop duo are searching for him, and Karen has a stomach virus. Ichigo, continuing to be somehow a better detective and more powerful than a 150-year-old Soul Reaper, finds Chad using spirit ribbons. This is one of those cool Bleach abilities that we'll never see again. We return to Chad developing a symbiotic relationship with a parakeet inside an empty factory. Don't worry, this is nowhere near the stupidest thing Chad will do in this series. Speaking of, after being attacked by a mysterious creature, my money on a hollow, Chad sees Ichigo and Rukia, then runs from them, and Karen arrives to be a super spreader. Rukia, seeing a brown man flee, chases after as her ghost cop instincts take over. Ichigo learns from Karen that she somehow, because she's the closest in age, was able to see a memory inside the parakeet soul. According to the latest psychological research, souls have not been proven as a likely candidate for where memories are kept. Inhabiting the parakeet is the soul of a young boy, one who saw his mother get murdered, and then was eaten by a hollow. Kubo is hitting Attack on Titan style sadness here, and I wonder if Ichigo has anything in common at all with that unfortunate boy. Chad and Rukia take on the hollow following the boy together. It's a cool battle, demonstrating just how powerful Chad is at base, and Rukia shows off her agility, dedication to the boys in Darkest Black, and more of her subqeen masochist tendencies. The Hollow, a serial killer who killed the boy's mom and chases his soul around for fun, has leech grenades, and appropriately gross power for a gross person. After Rukia has let her freak flag fly enough, Ichigo arrives, defeats the serial killer Hollow, and sends them to hell. Rukia gives a great sales pitch before soon they're sending the kid off to Soul Society, where he can reunite with his mother and likely become a peasant in the Rukongai. After 2 emotionally heavy arcs introducing our tertiary protagonists, we have a more comedic monster of the week to round out the rest of the early main cast. We begin on a great moment of suspense. Rukia's phone battery is dying, which is crazy. Those things used to last the lifespan of an iPhone model. Going to a strange shop to replace her batteries, Rukia takes us to the workplace of a Shinigami pimp named Uruhara. Working at the shop along with him, we meet the boisterous Jinta, gentle Yoruru, and stern Tessai. Along with the cell batteries, Rukia gets paid for the hollows they've hunted down together and cops some pills. By the way, your average Soul Reaper is apparently only worth 2,500 yen, because Shrieker was worth 5k for eating 2. Just interesting economy. Back at school, Rukia gives Ichigo some pills to pop in a Pez dispenser, and he's very ungrateful. In the storage of his store, Uruhara realizes Rukia asked for blue chews, but he accidentally gave her a defective soul. That's a very common mistake in the big box store industry. Walmart does it twice a week. The pills were so a temporary soul could have Ichigo's body stay moving around while he was being a sub-in ghost cop. This was disturbing enough, but then we learned the defective batch of mod souls came about because Soul Society was trying to inject special fighting spirits into dead humans. I suppose this could also count them as being bad at their job again, right? The mod soul in Ichigo's body causes shenanigans. First with a randomly hilarious gym teacher, then in the classroom where Orohime's boobs take another stray and we first meet Chuzuru, who does not look like Bruce Willis and somehow is even hornier than Tatsuki. Orohime can also smell Ichigo, so, that's cool. The mod soul gets spotted by Ichigo's sisters, Karen is mean to Midoriko, and Kubo gets in his philosophy back again as we learn theology from the viewpoint of Mega Man. Then, a hollow attacks. Despite smashing their Game Boy Advance, the mod soul protects the kids, and he and Ichigo must fight it off together. After the mod soul has an ethical crisis, almost dying to save some ants, they defeat today's bad spirit of the week. Uruhara and gang show up with weapons that seem oddly strong for this particular situation to take the defective soul back. Rukia pretends she has any aura worth mentioning and gets him to back down as if he would ever report back to Soul Society anyway. Though it isn't the blue chew she wanted, in the end, Rukia gives the pills to Ichigo and everyone has a happy ending. Except, I guess, Rukia, because he didn't get the blue chews. Volume 3. Despite the maximum cuteness that Orohime is hitting on the cover of Volume 3, Memories in the Rain, we're moving back into the tragic past of early Bleach. This time, it's for our main character, Ichigo. What exactly was it that made this strawberry stop smiling? Let's find out. Doing my usual check for how cool Kubo's titles are, I noticed that all of these shared a pattern. They all begin with 617, considering 6 and 17 are my third and first favorite numbers, respectively. I was very pleased to see it as the running title for this volume. It also kickstarts Kubo's trend of having running chapter titles for themed flashbacks. I still have nightmares about Turn Back the Pendulum. Not too dissimilar to the nightmares that I have of Haruhi Suzumiya's Endless 8 arc. We open onto a scene of misleading comedy. Khan, as the mod soul has now been disrespectfully nicknamed, is living inside a teddy bear because our ghost cop duo couldn't find any freshly run over cats. Khan is accidentally stepped on by Rukia. Thankfully, he's as lecherous as he was when he overtook Ichigo's body, so he ends up liking it. Unfortunately, that goes against Rukia's nature as a subqueen, so she attacks him, accidentally making his fetishes come true. Ichigo, running late for school, wonders why his dad didn't wake him up today with a head kick. Then he realizes the date, June 16th. The big day is coming up tomorrow. In class, some of the students are showing off what their futures will look like through art. Orihime's is definitely the best. Continuing her trend of being best girl, Inoue also notices that despite Ichigo's rare friendly demeanor, something seems off about him. That's when Tatsuki confirms the date and lets her know Ichigo will not be attending school tomorrow. Just what happened on June 17th. You can basically hear Rukia screaming that in this panel, which has no dialogue. Later, after mistaking the Kurasaki's family meeting as prepping for a fun trip, you can practically hear Rukia screaming again in this other panel, which has no dialogue. Ichigo tells her June 17th is the anniversary of his mom's death. Or rather, the day she was murdered. Back at Tatsuki's place, her and Orihime settle down and prepare for their role as exposition-delivering narrative devices for the next few chapters. Valiantly fulfilling her duties, Tatsuki starts telling the history of her friendship with Ichigo. They met when they were just young kids, only 4 years old, at a dojo. I'm not even sure some kids are walking by that age yet. She explains Ichigo was a wimpy little kid who cried when he lost, but always smiled when his mom came to pick him up and hold his hand. She died when he was 9. For a while, after her death, he'd skip school and go to the river where she died. Then he'd walk up and down all day as if he were looking for her. Yikes, Kubo. Right in the feels. What is this? A One Piece backstory? Jeez. The Kurosaki family arrive at the graveyard, thankfully not overwhelmed by grief and engaging in their usual hilarious antics. When Rukia randomly appears, she claims a hollow could have killed Ichigo's mom, but learns that he blames himself. This begins her character arc of questioning whether there's more to life than being a ghost cop. We then, through a flashback, learn exactly what happened 6 years ago on June 17th. A 9-year-old Ichigo is walking with his mother, Misaki. It's raining. He sees a lone girl standing by the river's edge. Already, for some reason, thinking like a shonen protag and risking his life, he leaves his mom behind to save the girl because he is, and I quote, strong enough to protect people. At 9. Whoops. Turns out maybe 9-year-olds shouldn't be common riders just yet, as the girl was actually a trap set from a very, very dangerous hollow. This very dangerous hollow, who Soul Society has not captured in 54 years, somehow, conveniently ends up being the monster of the week, as that same girl appears before Yuzu and Karen, Ichigo's sisters, and begins attacking them. Rukia and Ichigo, both sensing the creature's presence, rush to intervene. Ichigo arrives just in time and tells Rukia to get his sisters to safety and let him handle things. This time, it's personal. I've always wanted to say that. The battle was intense, by far the most intense fight of early Bleach. It helps that Grand Fisher has an interesting power set. Besides the angler-style human lure to bait his victims in, he also has claws on his right hand that can draw out people's memories, so the lure can then shapeshift into someone they care about. Not to mention that technically he has 2 bodies, allowing him a broken double health bar gauge. Very stacked for the start of the series. The intense battle comes to a close, with Ichigo managing to get the edge finally, but at the cost of great injury to himself. He and Rukia share a moment in the rain, ignoring that they did not slice the Hollow's mask, and Grand Fisher manages to get away in the end. The creature makes it to some unknown location, where we see some unknown figure removing his mask through some unknown process. However, instead of dying, Grand Fisher transforms and is even more powerful, though we don't know how. But we can probably feel pretty secure that he's going to seek revenge on Ichigo, and he's definitely more stacked. Look at those pecs. Feeling even more worthless now, Ichigo gets a much-needed pickup speech from his dad, W. Ishin, and finally has his I Declare My Dream shonen protag scene. Ichigo's goal is to beat up bad guys, so his mom will be happy to see him in Soul Society. And considering he'll be raiding that place in a few volumes, you'd think that'd be very easily accomplished. Okay, Kubo. Does it hold up? So here's the part everyone's been waiting for. Sure, Bleach is an insanely successful manga franchise, but does it still give you that same feeling? Does it still make you want to grab any random stick and yell out, Bankai? Well, I'm only 3 volumes in, but I can safely yell out, fuck yes! Early Bleach, even outside of the nostalgia, is just insanely fun. It's inventive, consistently hilarious, and has lovable characters that instantly draw you into the world and makes you care about the suspense. Honestly, I think that's the part that surprised me the most. I forgot just how dark, creepy, and sometimes downright traumatizing the series could be back then. Panels like Ichigo's mom bleeding out on his 9-year-old body hit a bit different when you're not reading 80 pixel scanlations on dubious websites with panda logos. That was for the OG nerds. Kubo's art hadn't gotten that glossiness or sparseness that Bleach would come to be associated with, but it already had plenty of character. It oozes rebellion and punk rocker attitude, and he has more than a few panels in here that I paused just to look at some more while I was reading. Plus, the fits. I mean, seriously, the fits. No one is doing outfits like Kubo. That's right, not even Naraki. And no, that was not a JoJo's reference. Overall, I'd rate the first 3 volumes an 8 out of 10 on the does this still hit the same scale. Sure, I know that later on, all the early inconsistencies start becoming more frequent, and Kubo falls into the bad habit of introducing new characters instead of ever resolving his issues. But for now, none of that has even touched the story. The first 3 volumes are just zany, monster of the week, ghost cop cases with a boy nicknamed Strawberry and his friends who all share equally tragic and depressing backstories. A recommended recommended read for anyone looking for a laugh. I've been Kevin Midas. This has been the first 100 Bleach Part 1. It didn't need to exist, but you're happy it does. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, or don't. Bye now. Shumpo.